want to specially thank Prime Minister Abe, who had just arrived in New York. The subject of reforms in the United Nations Security Council has been the focus of global attention for decades. Unfortunately, without progress so far. Our group of 4 countries, G4, came together in 2004, bound by our shared commitment to global peace and prosperity. Our faith in multilateralism and our willingness to assume our global responsibilities that we need the world expects from us. I'm delighted that we are meeting again as heads of the government after 10 years. As I had reflected in my letter, on the 17th anniversary of the United Nations, we live in a fundamentally different world from the time the UN was born. The number of member states has grown 4-fold. Threats to peace and security have become more complex, unpredictable, and undefined. In many ways, the global economy changes with new engines of growth, more widely dispersed economic power, and widening wealth gap. Trends in demography, urbanization, and migrations are posing new challenges. Climate change and terrorism are new concerns. Cyber and space are entirely new frontiers of our opportunities and challenges. Yet, our institutions, approaches, and often mindsets reflect the wisdom of the century we have left behind, not the century we live in. This is especially true of the United Nations Security Council. The reform of the Security Council within a fixed time frame has become an urgent and important task. The Security Council must include the world's largest democracies, major locomotives of the global economy, and voice from all the major countries. It will carry greater credibility and legitimacy and will be more representative and effective in addressing the challenges of the 21st century. After decades, we finally see some movement. The 69th session of the Central General Assembly had taken a significant step forward to commence tax-based negotiations. This would not have been possible but for the dynamic leadership of His Excellency Mr. Srem Patricia and Ambassador Courtney Rattray. However, this is just the first step. We should aim to take this process to its logical conclusion during the 17th session. I am confident that our meeting today will give a big impetus to our efforts in this direction. I now invite President Dilma Rousseff to make brief opening remarks. Thank you.
Senhor Narendra Modi, primeiro-ministro da Índia, senhora Angela Merkel, chanceler da Alemanha, senhor Shinzo Abe, primeiro-ministro do Japão, senhoras e senhores integrantes das delegações, senhores chefes de Estado e de Governo, eu queria dizer que a cúpula do G4 ocorre em um momento bastante significativo. Este ano, nós celebramos os 70 anos.
We celebrate the 70th anniversary of the United Nations Foundation. And we
também celebrando os 10 anos
are also celebrating the 10 years of constant efforts by G4. Since the UN was founded, and even a decade ago, the situation has evolved and changed very substantially. Back in 1945, there were a number of states that were members of the UN General Assembly, and the UN Security Council at the time had 11 members, in other words 22% of its overall membership. Today we have 193 member states, and the Security Council is made up by 15 members. So we are talking about a substantial drop in the overall percentage of representativeness of the Security Council vis-à-vis the General Assembly membership. The international reality in turn has also undergone deep and sweeping changes since then. I believe that the adoption in 2015 of the agenda, or the 2030 development agenda, will allow us to take concrete steps and do so through the negotiation channels in order to enable us to find solutions to a very relevant problem, i.e. climate change. It is also my belief that when it comes to collective peace and security, which are currently under threat, the results achieved so far have not really been very substantial. Therefore, the reform of the UN Security Council remains the main pending issue on the United Nations agenda. We need a renewed council that will properly reflect the new correlations of world powers, a very different one vis-à-vis that which prevailed back in 1945. We need a representative, a legitimate and an effective Security Council. May I reaffirm in my introductory remarks Brazil's firm commitment towards G4 and towards our shared objective of further strengthening the multilateral system of peace and security. And I will leave the remainder of my remarks for the next opportunity. Thank you very much.
Now, I invite Chancellor Merkel to make brief opening remarks.
Ja, sehr geehrter Premierminister, lieber Narendra Modi,
Prime Minister Modi, President Rousseff, Prime Minister Abe, I'm delighted to be able to participate in this meeting here today, and I very much welcome that 10 years after we first did so, the heads of state and government yet again highlight how important it is to change the current format of the Security Council and give this idea a higher profile. If you're committed to this idea, I think we ought to continue to work very intensively on this. 70 years after the United Nations was founded, the Agenda 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals, that is, have outlined a very good basis for future work in this changing world. I think it's a very good basis, as I said, because it includes each and everyone, not only developing countries, but developed countries, those that are currently emerging economies, and also the developing countries and industrialized countries. So the situation in the world at large is partly dramatic. We see failed states, we see non-state actors, we see terrorists, organized criminals, destabilizing whole regions of this world. We have never seen as many refugees as after the Second World War as we see now. There's terror, there are natural disasters, lack of perspective for many. On the other hand, we have been able to achieve also quite a lot. We have, for example, halved absolute poverty, but those problems that we have to contend with these days make it incumbent upon us to adopt new measures of work. And We have not as yet created these new work processes in contrast to the Agenda 2030. So we need a reform of the Security Council that better reflects the actual distribution of power in the world today than we have it now. We have seen over the past few years that we need to be very prudent and very intelligent in how we deal with matters, that we need to try to find allies, that we need to talk to others in order to achieve this goal of changing the format of the Security Council. But I think there is an underlying mood that not only the four of us are not content with the current structure of the Security Council, there are many others who have voiced similar views, so this is not an exclusive meeting today. These are just a group of states, as I see it, that wish to take others along in order to change the Security Council in such a way that it is actually better equipped to weather the challenges of the 21st century in its composition. Thank you for inviting us here today and for making this meeting possible.
Thank you, Chancellor. I now invite Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to make brief opening remarks.
まず議長を務めていただきましたモディ首相のご尽力に感謝申し上げたいと思います。本年は国連創設70周年
A great significance in holding this summit meeting, the first since 2004 in the 70th anniversary. This is the historic golden opportunity. So we are having this G4 summit meeting first time since 2004. And it was thanks to the efforts of Prime Minister Modi, together with President Rousseff, Chancellor Merkel. We are getting together. I think there is a great significance in this. We must respond to the voices of a great majority of the nations in reforming Security Council. We must make United Nations befitting the 20th century. We have a resolve, and we have to communicate our resolve to the rest of the world. So, since 2004, G4 countries have made various efforts. And we must note the fact that the situation has changed so much from the year 2004. There is a mounting momentum for change. Regarding the substance of the change, we are having a good amount of discussion which is boiling down to certain results. So, in this context, we are having this summit meeting of G4. I hope that this will be led to the concrete outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We will now continue our discussion in a closed meeting.